A bunch of people are very upset, and I mean very upset. What started off as an exciting, new, challenging experience turned out to be an exercise in frustration and patience. Every time we queue up for a match of competitive, there's hoping that we get a good experience. Hoping that one of the many factors that keep ruining it does not pop up just once. A single match without someone getting toxic, or someone giving up after losing the first team fight, refusing to work with a team and insisting to only play a single hero despite how much they have encountered. We have reached a point where people are not only mindlessly throwing around claims of the game dying, but we're now in a situation where ranked play in big parts is simply not taken seriously anymore, at all. When the player base stops taking a ranked environment seriously, that is the first step that leads down a very scary path, and I would like to kinda look into that. Truthfully, this is no easy topic to cover for me right now. You see, I would love to argue in favor of the game. I'd love to clear up some misconceptions explaining why some things feel the way that they do and so on. You know, many people said that content creators are making the whole issue worse by constantly reporting on it, talking about the game in a negative way, reinforcing opinions that have already been going into a direction that is not healthy for the community. Reality is that if players and content creators alike are constantly bringing up things that come off as bashing, then that is because there's a lot about this game to feel strongly about in a negative way. Attention for the game is good, and it always will be. The game is not dying only because we keep complaining. Quite the opposite, actually. Seeing people criticize the game and wanting the experience to be better shows a level of dedication and commitment that is honestly quite promising. A lot of players feel very strongly about Overwatch, just like I do, along with many other content creators. I dare say that most of us don't criticize the game for bashing's sake, but rather out of our passion for it, with a desire to want it to improve and stay with us for a very long time. If all of us, including players, just collectively stopped caring about the game to a point where we feel like even complaining and criticizing won't help it improve, that is when we got a real problem. So what's the issue here? Well, what would you say a ranked environment should display? A degree of seriousness, a certain level of dedication. You know, dedicating themselves to the competition, giving their best and so on. I think a lot of players would agree with an assessment like that. If you're a ranked player that longs for the competition and then keep on encountering players who don't, that is frustrating. What makes this worse is the fact that a lot of the things that players do, which ultimately does not adhere with the basic principles of a ranked environment, are not bannable offenses. In a game that is all about swapping characters in order to increase your odds of winning and countering what the enemies are playing, it is perfectly acceptable to solely play a single hero all the time, no matter how much it screws over your team in this team-based game. That is already quite a touchy subject for many players in this whole one-trick versus flex player discussion. But it gets even worse. You know, if a player on your team wants you to lose and they constantly throw themselves off the map or intentionally run into the enemies just to let them kill him, and by that not only be an absolutely useless part of the team but also feed the enemy's ultimate charge, that is a bannable offense, naturally. But if a player wants you to lose and they decide to swap to a hero that is very obviously not going to work against whatever the enemies are playing, and they decide to intentionally play really poorly just to make sure you cannot win, that is not a bannable offense. At the end of the day, they were playing the game. You can't be banned for playing a hero that is a bad choice for any given matchup, and you cannot be banned for performing poorly unless you can prove that they did all of that on purpose for the sake of losing the match, which is quite a difficult thing to prove, as opposed to someone just throwing themselves off the map. A lot of players got tired of losing games because of other people's moods, so alt accounts have become very popular, a secondary account where they don't care if they lose. I think you can see the problem here, right? While there's no inherent problem with alt accounts in the sense that they will be placed according to their skill level anyway, a change of mentality can come with many problems. The desire to want to frustrate others because they have been frustrated before is something that is currently running rampant on ladder. Players on their alt accounts that start picking up suboptimal heroes while intentionally performing poorly just to make sure that whoever they don't like have as hard of a time as possible to rank up. There are currently a lot of problems we have on ladder, and a lot of them stem from the system we play in as well as the rule set that surrounds our environment. Players who should not be competing on ladder for many reasons are all over the place, ruining the experience for those who are looking for genuine competition. Furthermore, players can literally be considered top 1% of the entire player base simply by playing a single hero. A game that in its core was designed with counterplay in mind allows players to reach a disgustingly high rank without ever proving that they understand what the game is truly about. You should never be able to reach the absolute top of a competitive ladder by just pressing M1. It's ridiculous. And I know that Mercy is an incredibly popular character and a lot of people will get very upset with me. I do believe that Mercy has a place in this game and I'm absolutely fine with players deciding that this should be their main hero. But having a main and being a one-trick are two different things entirely. There are differences between good and bad Mercy players, that is for sure. But fact states that we are dealing with an incredible amount of players having reached ranks that they have no right to hold by playing this and only this one hero. There is no other hero in this game that sees an influx like this. And I honestly don't have a direct solution for this problem. I don't, and I don't want to pretend that I do because I do not believe that this is an easy problem to solve. But when your players stop taking ranked seriously because they are tired of dealing with other players who don't take the game seriously, we're entering death spiral type territory. You know, people keep arguing with just have fun whenever an argument like this is brought up, but what we're dealing with here is that players enter an environment that was not made for them and then demand others around them to adhere to their moods. Competitive play is not the game mode where you should just be playing whatever you feel like playing, and I would like to pull up a couple tweets from Kefri here. It's called competitive play, not ranked play. If you aren't trying your hardest to facilitate a win, then you should not be allowed to play. Trying on solely one hero and performing poorly whilst refusing to swap is not facilitating your team's chances to win and should be punishable. Meta or not, if you are not making a positive contribution to winning, you should consider swapping to increase your chances of winning. A few people started arguing with him because apparently he takes the whole matter too seriously because it is his job while it is just a game for everyone else, and I like to say that this is absolute nonsense. Competitive environments are created specifically for players who want to take the game more seriously, and if you enter this environment with such an attitude while demanding others to adhere to your principles, then this is not a matter of them taking a game too seriously. This is a matter of you joining a serious game mode whilst refusing to adhere to its standards. You are in the wrong no matter how you try to twist it. The fact that this is a video game does not change the fact that many players are looking for genuine competition in a game mode where players all agree to taking the game more seriously than in a casual one. This is not an argument of enforcing meta slavery, nor is it an argument of dictating something that was not already part of an unwritten agreement. I don't know what to tell people who look at a game mode that says competitive play and then claim that players are taking it too seriously. But those arguments, to me, clearly illustrate just how many players are competing in this game mode while they honestly should not be there. And I think this is the core of the problem that we're dealing with here. Players joining competitive play, not taking the game seriously, and ruining matches for others to an extent where they stop taking it seriously themselves just because of how frustrated they get. The question is now, will Blizzard do anything about it? I find that very unlikely. But this is me done for the day as I talk about some fundamental problems regarding competitive play and why people stop taking it seriously, much to the detriment of the competitive community. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to drop me a like on your way out if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and I hope to see you all next time.